We're on.
We're on the introduction now because we went through the last part of the preface. We didn't read the last sentence, but that was just a it was just a Prabhupada thanking all the helpers that were, financing it and helping with the production. So
Oh,
that one wasn't really that important. So, but
we could.
this is the introduction.
Okay. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, why don't you read the first couple of paragraphs here?
Okay. Invoking auspiciousness. Lord Sri Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the reservoir of all rasas or relationships, which are called neutrality, passive adoration, servitorship, friendship, parenthood, conjugal love, comedy, compassion, fear, chivalry, ghastliness, wonder, and devastation. He is the supreme attractive form, and by his universal and transcendental attractive features, he has captivated all the gopis, headed by Taraka, Palika, Shyama, Lalita, and ultimately Srimati Radharani. Let his lordship's grace be on us, as there may not be any hindrance in the execution of this duty of writing the Nectar of Devotion, impelled by his divine grace, Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Prabhupāda and of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, by whose inspiration I have been engaged in the matter of compiling the summary study of Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu. This is the sublime science of devotional service as propounded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared 500 years ago in West Bengal, India, to propagate the movement of Krishna consciousness. Hari Bol. Who's
Yeah.
that?
Um, uh, what's his name? Hemang is texting me.
Oh, no, I mean, who's your background, Murti?
That's my Nrsingadev. Have
Oh,
you ever been to my house?
no.
You haven't. Used to be my guru's deity.
Amazing. And that's
See,
Prahlad.
here's Prahlad's father here. He's being ripped to shreds because
Oh, I see. Oh, interesting. It's so ornate.
Nrsingadev is pissed.
Oh,
He's trying.
amazing.
Yeah, when I took pictures of him in the 70s, I was like blown away because he was so frightening to look at. I mean, he was actually, every time actually, but my friend from New York, he calls me every weekend. His name is Adi Purusha. He works the bed and breakfast and the Prasadam distribution program in New York City.
Oh, nice.
He's been there for like decades. And because my spiritual master told him to do that for Prabhupada. He's Prabhupada disciple. He used
Oh,
to he used to, be serving Prabhupada when he'd come to the farm. He'd be his like protector. And yeah, he actually had a club and a gun
really?
because that the
That's Pennsylvania.
the demons once attacked the temple and they were just trying to protect Prabhupada from any kind of adverse elements.
Yeah.
So he was all young and svelte back then, but now he's like 76 years old. But
Oh, it's a
every
spring
time he calls me,
chicken.
this picture of him, Lord Nrsingadev comes up, and he actually is pretty scary looking. So
I got a really good picture of Dev from an old Back to Godhead. I need to rip it out before the Back to Godhead starts to get ripped up in my just ruined in my backpack, but it's a great illustration.
yeah, I think I might have a. Let me see. Um, I might have a video of Lord Nrsingadev here in my deities folder. I have a disco ball on the top of my altar. It's got an Omkar. It's a little globe with an Omkar engraved in the middle of it,
Yeah.
and different colored lights shine through it alternatively, and it kind of like makes a disco kind of effect on the ceiling
Yeah.
above the altar,
Oh,
which is pretty cool.
beautiful.
Yeah, But let's see here. You see that?
Let me see. Hold on, I'm gonna put you on full
Oh,
screen.
wait, no.
No, right now you're still sharing your Facebook.
Oh, okay, hold on.
So yeah, click on, there's another window probably that you opened. How do you make the distinction between a murti and a deity?
The same thing. Murti is just another name for deity. Here,
Really?
let me show you this picture here or this video.
Oh wow. Oh my gosh, it's big.
Yeah,
You have
I
everything.
got this. See, I've donated $1,000. See this little coin here in the corner?
Yeah.
I donated $1,000 to the TOBP in Mayapur. I'm just reading about that right now. Prabhupada was in Mayapur in 1976, and he was starting to build this whole complex here. But this is actually kind of an older picture. I have actually this is kind of new. One of the devotees that's from the Kirtan Center gave me this
The
thing here.
Shaligram.
It's kind of like a shalagram, but it's actually ancient. It's 400 million years old. And so you can see that the surface of it is kind of iridescent. That's because it's fossilized.
Right.
Actually a shell, and the inside of the shell became fossilized. And they worship those as shalagrams in India. But anyway, let me show you this real quick here.
I'm curious about the Shaligram. Well, we could talk about that later because I
Okay.
had a question about that. God, that is gorgeous.
Yeah, see, this is an oil painting because I gave a donation. See, that's the Radha Krishna deities.
Yeah.
And this is my disco ball on the top.
Oh my God, that's
It's got
amazing.
Omkar on
Oh my God. Dee,
it.
dee, 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 dee.
That's like my disco dancing ball. I've got
Oh,
all kinds of little murtis of Krishna all over the
nice.
house. And so it's like let me share the Nectar Devotion again. So it's kind of like a motif, a
So
blue
I think your
crystal all over.
Shaligram is an ammonite fossil.
Ammonite, that's what it is. Ammonite. I forgot the name of it, but
So what's the significance of using ammonites in
oh,
India?
there's a place in India where these fossils come from typically, and they sell them as shine. They give them away as shalagram deities. It's actually an official site where they have consecrated that as real shalagrams to be, it could be used as a shalagram Shila, which is Krishna. But
Huh. So
yeah,
A
I read
shaligram is
about it
just
in the
an
Vishnu Purana.
ammonite.
Yeah, ammonite is a kind of fossil from a mollusk, which is a shell which lived hundreds of millions of years ago. But that's Krishna's toy now, that's baby Krishna is on there, so he has toys. So let's see here. Let's see. Introduction. Okay, let me read this
Yeah,
next
yeah,
couple.
flip back to that. Thank you.
Get back to the point. But I hope you can come over to our house maybe one of these days if we have a program. Again, my wife is usually working now. We used to have programs a lot more, but she works so hard now that it's difficult for us to come. But sometimes I bring my Nrsingadev to Kirtan Center too,
Yeah.
like a couple of years ago, because my birthday fell on the exact same day as Nrsingadev's appearance day, because it's always different.
Oh.
My
Hmm.
appearance day is the same around the same day, but it also was a Thursday, and so I was like bewildered by what to do. And so I asked one of my friends at the Kirtan Center, and he said, "Well, why don't you bring the Srinivas over here?" I said, "That's a great idea. I killed two birds with one stone." Don't tell PETA I said that.
I won't.
They don't like it even when you talk bad about animals.
Ugh.
Anyway, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī Prabhupāda and of Śrīla Bhakti-rasāmṛta-Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupāda, by whose inspiration I've been engaged in the matter of compiling this study of Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu. This is the sublime science of devotional service as propounded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared 500 years ago in West Bengal, India, to propagate the movement of Krishna consciousness. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī begins his great book by offering his respectful obeisances to Sri Sanatana Goswami, who is his elder brother and spiritual master, and he prays that Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu will be very pleasing to him. He further prays that by residing in that ocean of nectar, Sri Sanatana Goswami may always feel transcendental pleasure in the service of Radha and Krishna. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the great devotees of acharyas, holy teachers, who are compared to sharks in the great ocean of. You have one of those books, right?
Yeah, I do.
Ocean, the pink one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I always thought of. Like I was looking at that picture. It's like a picture of Radha and Krishna in the spiritual world, and the ocean of nectar of devotion. There's different waves in this book. Have you read any of it?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I mean, it's broken up into different waves. And so that's the way he breaks it down into like parts. There's a first wave, second wave, third wave, and there's different chapters. But they're compared to great sharks. So this is the acharyas, the holy teachers, or sharks in the great ocean of nectar who do not care for the various rivers of liberation. See, the ocean of nectar is different from the rivers of liberation. Impersonalists are very fond of merging into the supreme, like rivers that come down and merge into the ocean. See, the impersonalists don't have any conception of personality of Godhead, so therefore they want to merge with him. They think that they and God are the same, and so they just want to become one with Brahman and experience, the supreme and become liberated from the material world by that
That way.
process of merging. But they can't, even though they can merge with the impersonal Brahman effulgence of Krishna, they can't stay there for any length of time because they eventually get bored and then they have to come back to the earth and do some kind of politics or philanthropic activity or something, because there's really nothing to do unless you're serving Krishna. There's nothing to do, and even in the spiritual realm. The ocean can be compared to liberation and all the rivers to the different paths of liberation. The impersonalists are dwelling in the river water, which eventually comes to mix with the ocean. They have no information, however, that within the ocean, as within the river, there are innumerable aquatic living entities. The sharks who dwell in the ocean do not care for the rivers that are gliding into it. The devotees eternally live in the ocean of devotional service, and they do not care for the rivers. In other words, those who are pure devotees remain always in the ocean of transcendental loving service to the Lord and have no business with other processes, which are compared to rivers that only gradually come to the ocean. See, with the impersonal conception of God, it's possible to go all the way back to Godhead by that process, but it's very troublesome because you have to meditate on the impersonal aspects of the Supreme, and the impersonal aspect of God is very difficult to understand for those who are embodied like us. We have material bodies, and so we worship the deity, and that way we can get a better idea of who Krishna is. He's a person. And ultimately, the Brahman effulgence, the all-pervasive Brahman, is coming from the Supreme Person. So the Brahman is the emanation from Krishna, not the other way around. They say that everything is Brahman, but the Brahman is just the impersonal, all-pervading aspect of Krishna.
Mhm.
Anyway, you can read the next one. Rupa Goswami prays.
Okay, Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī prays to his spiritual master, Śrīla Sanatana Goswami, for the protection of Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu, the ocean of the pure nectar of devotional service. From the argumentative logicians who unnecessarily meddle in the science of service to the Lord. He compares their arguments and logic to volcanic eruptions in the midst of the ocean. In the midst of the ocean, volcanic eruptions can do very little harm, and similarly, those who are against devotional service to the Lord and who put forward many philosophical theses about the ultimate transcendental realization cannot disturb this great ocean of devotional service.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
The author of Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu, Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī, very humbly submits that he is just trying to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, although he humbly thinks himself unfit for this work. That should be the attitude of all preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement, following in the steps of Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī. We should never think of ourselves as great preachers, but should always consider that we are simply instrumental to the previous acharyas, and simply by following in their footsteps, we may be able to do something for the benefit of suffering humanity.
That's a really important point. I read a book. It's called it was by one of the Goswamis. It was Raghunath Das Goswami and a contemporary acharya from Russia, a Bhaktivedanta Swami, who was commenting on the third verse, and he was saying, as soon as you think yourself of a guru, you think yourself like a teacher, that means you're not a guru.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
you think you are a guru, immediately that disqualifies you because we're simply repeating the previous acharya. We're simply instruments of the previous acharyas, and we're simply by following in their footsteps, then we may be able to do something for the benefit of suffering humanity because we don't have a clue of what to do for suffering humanity. Everybody, all these philanthropists and politicians, they think they have some great idea. They don't have the slightest idea of what to do. And whatever they do is harmful because it's not according to the Shastra. All the Shastra is laid down how to deal with the government, how to deal with everything, the economy, the organization of society, the Varnashram system. All these things are delineated in the Vedas, and if we follow the Vedas, then we can construct a peaceful situation where we are gradually elevated step by step to the devotional service of Krishna. But if we don't follow that, if we make up whatever we want, and create a law and then disregard the law the next second and then create another law,
Yeah, which is what
then
we're doing.
it's just totally not authorized. And whatever they do, it just makes matters worse because it's actually not in accordance with the Krishna's rules and regulations. I mean, every book, every um, piece of equipment or whatever usually has a manual, and so the Vedas are the manual for human society. If we follow them and follow in the footsteps of these great preachers, then we can do something good. But if we think that we're great preachers, you should never think of yourself as a great preacher. Just like Rupa Goswami, he didn't think he was qualified to preach. But on the order of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya said, um, "Be on my order, become a guru." Just try to instruct everybody in the what Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in the land. We have no qualification to do that. Only Krishna is the author of the Vedas, and we can simply repeat what he said. We can't make anything up. So therefore, it's pretty simple, really. It's not that difficult. But if we have that surrendered mentality, then we can do anything on behalf of Krishna. And Krishna, as we surrender to him, he'll empower us to do more and more. So the devotee's always looking to do more. Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu is divided into four parts, just as the ocean is sometimes divided into four parts, and there are different sections within each of these four divisions. Originally, Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu, the devotion is divided into, like the watery ocean, into east, south, west, and north, while the subsections of these different divisions are called waves. As in the ocean, there are always different waves, either on the eastern side, southern side, western side, or northern side. The Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu has different waves. The first part are the four waves. There are four waves. The first being a general description of devotional service. The second concerns the regulative principles for executing devotional service. And the third wave, devotional service in ecstasy. And the fourth is the ultimate goal, love of God. These will be explicitly described along with their different symptoms. See, that's the thing about this book. It talks about the different symptoms, just like if
Mhm.
you're a psychologist or you're a doctor, you see symptoms of different aspects of a disease or wellness in a person, or different symptoms of psychological behavior. Um, this is describing the different effects that Krishna consciousness has on the living entity. They're all delineated scientifically in this book. Let me
Right.
just read. You go ahead and read the next one here.
Okay. The authorized descriptions of bhakti or devotional service, hold on one second, following in the footsteps of previous acharyas, can be summarized in the following statement by Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī. First class devotional service is known by one's tendency to be fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, serving the Lord favorably. The purport is that one may also be in Krishna consciousness unfavorably, but that cannot be counted as pure devotional service. Pure devotional service should be free from the desire for any material benefit or for sense gratification, as these desires are cultivated through fruitive action, fruitive activities, and philosophical speculation. Generally, people are engaged in different activities to get some material profit, while most philosophers are engaged in proposing transcendental realization through volumes of word jugglery and speculation. Pure devotional service must always be free from such fruitive activities and philosophical speculations. One has to learn Krishna consciousness or pure devotional service from the authorities by spontaneous loving service. Hari.
Yeah, the person that's in the acharyas or the person that's in devotional service are the ones that are already attracted to Krishna. And by that attractive attitude, we become attracted ourselves. And we like to hear them talk about Krishna because once we are attracted by Krishna's activities and pastimes and attributes, then we can also follow in their footsteps and become attracted in a similar way. Everything in a devotional service is very personal. We have to learn the process of devotional service from somebody that's already in it. Just like it says in the Bhagavad Gita, Tadvidi paripatinam pariprashnena sevya upadekshanti ganam ganinas tattvadarshana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, and render service unto him. Self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So this devotional service is a sort of cultivation, is not simply inaction for people who like to be inactive or devote their time to silent meditation. There are many different methods for people who want this, but cultivation of Krishna consciousness is different. The particular word used by Rupa Goswami in this connection is anushilana, or cultivation by following the predecessor of teachers, acharyas. Acharya means one who teaches by example. In other words, one who is already on the path. As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. Without activity, consciousness alone cannot help us. All activities may be divided into two classes. One class may be for achieving a certain goal, and the other may be for avoiding some unfavorable circumstances. In Sanskrit, activities are called pravritti and nivritti, positive and negative action. There are many examples of negative action. For instance, a diseased person has to be cautious and take medicine in order to avoid some unfavorable illness. So there's positive action and negative action, the do's and don'ts of devotional service. You know, you don't hang out in brothels or in bars. That's a don't. And do hang out with the devotees and take instruction and make friends with them. That's a do. So these are their different do's and don'ts. That's pravritti and nivritti. Okay, go ahead.
Those who are cultivating spiritual life and executing devotional service are always engaged in activity. Such activity can be performed with the body or with the mind. Thinking, feeling, and willing are all activities of the mind, and when we will to do something, the activity comes to be manifest by the gross bodily senses. Thus, in our mental activities, we should always try to think of Krishna and try to plan how to please him, following in the footsteps of the great acharyas and the personal spiritual master. There are activities of the body, activities of the mind, and activities of speech. A Krishna conscious person engages his words in preaching the glories of the Lord. This is called kirtana. And by his mind, a Krishna conscious person always thinks of the activities of the Lord as he is speaking on the battlefield of Kurukshetra or engaging in various pastimes in Vrindavana with his devotees. In this way, one can always think of the activities and pastimes of the Lord. This is the mental culture of Krishna consciousness.
Similarly, we can offer many services with our bodily activities, but all such activities must be in relationship with Krishna. This relationship is established by connecting oneself with the bona fide spiritual master, who is the direct representative of Krishna in disciplic succession. Therefore, the execution of Krishna conscious activities with the body should be directed by the spiritual master and then performed with faith. The connection with the spiritual master is called initiation. From the date of initiation by the spiritual master, the connection between Krishna and a person cultivating Krishna consciousness is established. Without initiation by a bona fide spiritual master, the actual connection with Krishna consciousness is never performed. So therefore, the Vedas recommend, everybody should have a guru. Go ahead.
Okay. Uh,
This cultivation.
this cultivation of Krishna consciousness is not material. The Lord has three general energies, namely the external energy, the internal energy, and the marginal energy. The living entities are called marginal energy, and the material cosmic manifestation is the action of the external or material energy. Then there is the spiritual world, which is a manifestation of the internal energy. The living entities, who are called marginal energy, perform material activities when acting under the inferior or external energy. And when they engage in activities under the internal spiritual energy, their activities are called Krishna consciousness. This means that those who are great souls or great devotees do not act under the spell of material energy, but act instead under the protection of the spiritual energy. Any activities done in devotional service or in Krishna consciousness are directly under the control of spiritual energy. In other words, energy is a sort of strength, and this strength can be spiritualized by the mercy of both the bona fide spiritual master and Krishna. Prabhuji, I need to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Um, what I can do is I can put myself on mute and take my video off, but if you want to read, I'll be listening.
Oh, okay. I can read then.
Okay, so I'm gonna turn my video off. Okay, and then if you can just keep reading, and then as soon as I am able to, I'm going to turn my video back on. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'm
All
listening.
right. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Lord Chaitanya states that it is the fortunate person who comes in contact with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna, one who is serious about spiritual life, is given by Krishna the intelligence to come in contact with a bona fide spiritual master, and then by the grace of the spiritual master, one becomes advanced in Krishna consciousness. In this way, the whole jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness is directly under the spiritual energy, Krishna, and the spiritual master. This has nothing to do with the material world. When we speak of Krishna, we refer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead along with his many expansions. He's expanded by his plenary parts and parcels, his differentiated parts and parcels, and his different energies. Krishna, in other words, means everything and includes everything. Generally, however, we should understand Krishna to mean Krishna and his personal expansions. Krishna expands himself as Baladev, Shankarshan, Vasudeva, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Ram, Nrsimha, and Varaha, as well as many other incarnations and innumerable Vishnu expansions. These are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam to be as numerous as the uncountable waves. So Krishna includes all such expansions as well as his pure devotees. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that Krishna's expansions are all complete in eternity, blissfulness, and cognizance. Devotional service means to prosecute Krishna conscious activities that are favorable to the transcendental pleasure of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, and any activities that are not favorable to the transcendental favor of the Lord cannot be accepted as devotional service. For example, great demons like Ravana, Kamsa, and Hiranyakashipu were always thinking of Krishna, but they were thinking of him as their enemy. This sort of thinking cannot be accepted as bhakti or Krishna consciousness. The impersonalists sometimes misunderstand devotional service in such a way that they divide Krishna from his paraphernalia and pastimes. For example, the Bhagavad Gita is spoken on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and the impersonalists say that although Krishna is of interest, the battlefield of Kurukshetra isn't. The devotees, however, also know that the battlefield of Kurukshetra is nothing, or by itself has nothing to do with their business, but in addition, they know that Krishna doesn't mean just Krishna alone. He is always with his associates and paraphernalia. For instance, if someone says, quote, give something to eat to the man with the weapons, end quote, the eating process is done by the man and not by the weapons. Similarly, in Krishna consciousness, a devotee may be interested in the paraphernalia and locations, such as the battlefield of Kurukshetra, that are associated with Krishna, but he is not concerned simply with any battlefield. He is concerned with Krishna, his speech, his instructions, etc. It is because Krishna is there that the battlefield is so important. This is the summary study or understanding of what Krishna consciousness is. Without this understanding, one is sure to misunderstand why the devotees are interested in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. One who is interested in Krishna consciousness becomes interested in his different pastimes and activities. The definition of a pure devotee, as given by Rupa Gosvāmī in his Bhakti-rasāmṛta-sindhu, can be summarized thus. His service is favorable and is always in relation to Krishna. In order to keep the purity of such Krishna conscious activities, one must be freed from all material desires and philosophical speculation. Any desire except for the service of the Lord is called material desire. And, quote, philosophical speculation, end quote, refers to any sort of speculation that ultimately arrives at a conclusion of voidism or impersonalism. This conclusion is useless for a Krishna conscious person. Only rarely by philosophical speculation can one reach the conclusion of worshiping Vasudeva, Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita itself. The ultimate end of philosophical speculation, then, must be Krishna, with the understanding that Krishna is everything, the cause of all causes, and that one should therefore surrender unto him. If this ultimate goal is reached, then philosophical advancement is favorable. But if the conclusion of philosophical speculation is voidism or impersonalism, that is not bhakti. Karma, or fruitive activities, are sometimes understood to be ritualistic activities.
I'm listening. Go ahead. Sorry.
You back?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You turn your video on again?
Prabhuji?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you froze.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you can turn your video on again if you want.
Okay. I was trying to determine why you froze. Okay,
Yeah,
karma.
maybe it was just a bad connection or your Wi-Fi is acting up or something.
Okay.
To err is human, it takes a computer to really screw things up.
Yeah.
So you can read this paragraph here, starting with karma or
Okay.
fruitive activities.
Karma or fruitive activities are sometimes understood to be ritualistic activities. There are many persons who are very much attracted by the ritualistic activities described in the Vedas. But if one becomes attracted simply to ritualistic activities without understanding Krishna, his activities are unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. Actually, Krishna consciousness can be based simply on hearing, chanting, remembering, etc. Described in the Srimad Bhagavatam are 9 different processes, besides which everything done is unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. Thus, one should always be guarding against fall downs. Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī has also mentioned in this definition of bhakti the word jnana karmani. This karmadi, fruitive work, consists of activities that are unable to help one attain to pure devotional service. Many forms of so-called renunciation are also not favorable to Krishna conscious devotional service.
Go ahead and read the next one.
Śrīla Rūpa Gosvāmī has also quoted a definition from the Narada Pancharatra as follows. One should be free from all material designations and, by Krishna consciousness, must be cleansed of all material contamination. He should be restored to his pure identity in which he engages his senses in the service of the proprietor of the senses. So when our senses are engaged for the actual proprietor of the senses, that is called devotional service. In our conditional state, our senses are engaged in serving these bodily demands. When the same senses are engaged in executing the order of Krishna, our activities are called bhakti.
That's what the beginning of Bhagavad Gita says. He says, our Christian consciousness movement, the difference between material activities and spiritual activities, we're serving Krishna's senses. He's the proprietor of our senses. He's called Rishikesh, or no, well, the proprietor of the senses, he's known as the controller of the senses and the proprietor of the senses. These are not our senses. We can't control our senses. We can't even see the inside of our eyes, even though our eyelids are we can't see our eyelids because even though our eyes are like the closest thing to it. So we don't even know what is going on within our bodies, but Krishna knows everything. And he's the controller of all of our senses, and the senses are meant to serve him and not our own bodily demands.
Yeah.
So instead of, Prabhupada said that we are engaged in actual Krishna consciousness means we're engaged in serving the senses of Krishna in devotional service instead of our own senses. And because this, we're not watering down this philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, therefore our movement has been successful. We're not saying that we can still engage in our own sense gratification and at the same time be Krishna conscious. Even the Bible says that you can't engage in um, serving God and mammon at the same time. Mammon means, sense gratification.
Oh, manman?
Mammon, yeah.
Mammon?
I think that's what mammon, let me look it up here.
Mammon.
Money, material wealth, any entity that promises wealth or the greedy pursuit of gain. Right.
Oh,
So lust, anger, and greed are the three gateways to hell. So we should avoid all those things that were, the senses want, we always want to see something, to hear something that's attractive, or to hear something that's nice, or to see something that's beautiful. But instead of doing that for our own senses, like say if you see a beautiful flower, you say, "Oh, that's a beautiful flower. I want that flower," and then you put it on your desk. But you should think, "Oh, well, this is a beautiful flower to offer to Krishna." Right now, I've got some out in front of our house. We have huge hibiscus. You ever heard of hibiscus flowers?
yeah, of course.
Okay, these are big. They're called Mars Madness, and they're not blooming yet, but they're buds. The buds are just coming out, but they'll be 9 inches in diameter when they're fully bloomed. And there's hundreds of them in the three bushes that we have in front of our house. And I was always looking for something that the deer won't eat, and the deer doesn't like hibiscus for some reason, so they don't touch them. But Malati, Malati,
Yeah.
she said that those flowers are appropriate to offer to Lord Shiva.
Oh, because they're red.
I don't know why, but there's different flowers that are prescribed for different deities or personalities. But Lord Shiva, I guess he likes those hibiscus, but those are big.
What does Krishna like?
Krishna, he likes, he says, if you offer me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I'll accept it. But he owns everything. He doesn't really need our offering, but
Mhm.
he likes, I'm not sure exactly what kind of flowers he likes, but um, he liked the Gunja flowers that Radharani would make for him for a garland and, different flowers like that. But I just thought that was interesting that she said that was those particular flowers are
Yeah.
suitable for offering to Lord Shiva.
Yeah, that's
Lord Shiva
interesting.
is almost Krishna. He's the living entity, and the Shiva Shakti is like the difference between Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna is like the difference between milk and yogurt. He's almost has all of the qualities of Narayan, but
Wow.
not quite.
Okay.
Narayan has more qualities, and Krishna has four more qualities that even Narayan doesn't have. He plays his flute. He's attractive to all living entities. He's just he has four qualities that even Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, doesn't have. So
What should I tell like Christian people who don't understand any of this about the Krishna consciousness?
Prabhupada would always say, he really stressed this. I'm reading about a chapter where he was talking about the principle of Mother Nature and the Father. Christians, like, they understand that God is the Father, right?
Right.
And Krishna says, I am the seed-giving Father of all living entities, and material nature is the mother. There's different um, living entities that come out of material nature. And just like the living entities are planted like a tree has a seed, and when it's planted in the earth, that's Mother Nature, and then it grows into another tree. So that self-replicating entity, the seed is Krishna in the material world, and all living entities are coming from Krishna. He's the seed-giving father for all living entities, and Mother Nature is like the mother. He's there. She provides the ingredients and um, the atmosphere in which to grow the living entities in different, like a fish in the ocean, and there's different entities that come out from different things like eggs and seeds, and they have different origins like that. But Krishna says that I'm the seed-giving father, and Christ says, surrender to me, the Father, God the Father. He's my Father. And just do what I say. One who obeys my word is also obeying the Father. So Krishna says, I'm the Father, surrender to me. So there's no difference between Krishna's instructions and Christ's instructions. It's just different names.
Oh, okay, because they like tend to get hung up on Jesus, right?
Yeah. Well, even Jesus said, you are all sons of God. Krishna, we call Jesus a Shakti Avatar. Avatar means one who comes down from the spiritual world. He presents whenever there's a discrepancy in the religious following and the earth. Krishna comes himself, or he sends his representative, or he sends his son, like Jesus, to reestablish religious principles. And so um, he's not the only son of God. There are many sons of God, and there are many acharyas or spiritual teachers. I wouldn't be hung up so much on that. If they want to accept Christ as their guru, that's fine. We also honor as much as uh, the as God, the representative of God, because he's repeating God's instructions. It's the same message. So everything is coming from God, and Christ is he's uh,
He's
he's
another avatar.
representative. So we worship Christ because he actually provided the utmost example of a sacrifice of um, you know he gave his life in order to spread God consciousness, and by that example everyone is following his footsteps. So
He did his life.
whatever it takes to
Wait,
get
he
people.
intentionally gave his life? I'm not clear on this. Because I wasn't raised Christian, so I'm asking because mo like 90% of America is Christian. So I want to understand how to break this down. Did he really give his life?
Well, he accepted the fact that he was going to be crucified, and he asked the Lord, why hast thou forsaken me? And he was like feeling separation from God, and he knew that in order to uh, he was actually surrendered, but he asked for forgiveness to all these people that were persecuting him.
Oh,
And
I
he said,
see.
forgive them for they don't even know what they're doing. And
Oh, I see.
that kind of
That's why he was
forgiveness
a
is
great spiritual master.
really the greatness of Christ, because like there's so many different devotees of God that have done similar things. Like Vrindavan Das Thakur was one of Lord Chaitanya's associates, and he was so upset by all the suffering of the living entities. He said, "My dear Lord Chaitanya, please give me all of their karma. I'll suffer perpetually if you just deliver them." And Lord Chaitanya's heart was so softened by that. He said, just because of your desire, I'm going to deliver all these living entities, but you don't have to suffer for it. So on the request of, that is even more uh, magnanimous than even Jesus Christ, because he was willing to take all of the sins of everybody, not just his followers. And, we can't really understand why these teachers or like somebody like Christ has to go through so many difficulties, but they accept it all gladly in the service of God. And if we serve God the same way, if we accept whatever bad things are coming to us and just pray for and don't get discouraged and just go on with our service, then we actually inherit the right to become delivered in our um, activities, because we're just going on with our service and not complaining about anything, or not blaming God or blaming anybody else. We're taking responsibility, but we just continue to serve um, selflessly without expecting any reward. And we
Right.
were ready to offer all respects to others without expecting anything in return. So that's what it means by selfless service. And Krishna says if somebody has that attitude, you're guaranteed to go back to Godhead, because you continue in your service without being disturbed, and you're not affected by loss or gain, a victory or defeat, or pleasure or pain, or whatever. It doesn't matter, whatever you have to do, that's, you just accept that as the mercy of God, and you don't complain about it. That's why Christ was but he, was special because he was forgiving, and that's a very good quality too. And it doesn't come by accident. He was basically um because God is merciful, he was also merciful to all the living entities. And Prabhupada was the same way. He underwent so many austerities to come here to the West and deliver us from this horrible society that we live in. And
Mhm.
so he underwent so many austerities to come across the ocean, suffering 2 heart attacks at sea with no money, no friends, no backing from his god brothers. But still, because he had the desire to execute his spiritual master's order, he did all of that voluntarily of his own accord. So, yeah, because he surrendered in that way, he used to say, if I have any um, credit in this regard, it's just because I've tried to execute the order of my spiritual master. Otherwise, I have no credit. He was humble like that. So we should all have that idea. Anyway, it's 6:55. I don't know what Hemang said. He hasn't been with us
For quite a while.
for quite a while. He says, "I'm sorry, I'm unable to make it. Hopefully next time." Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, thank you for coming. I don't know where ZV is, or Zoe, but maybe next time. But I'm just glad that somebody can come. Of course, like if nobody came on, then I wouldn't have anybody, and I would probably shut it down after 10 minutes. But it seems like the last a couple of months we've have been pretty regular with this.
Yeah, and I can always let you know that if it's a bad day and I just can't make it.
Yeah, yeah. Just let me know, and that's no problem. You know, we'll just do it the next time.
Well, thank you
Thank
for
you for
reading
coming.
with
I hope
me.
your everything becomes easier. I know you're undergoing so much um, trials and tribulations right now, and I hope Krishna will have some mercy on you and
Thank
make
you.
things a little easier for you.
Thank you.
So thank you. Have a great evening, and talk to you on
Tuesday.
Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Okay. Thank you. Hare Krishna.